Well, I've been self-employed for about 20 years. I'm a concrete contractor, I'm a cattle rancher, I'm a real estate investor, and I got involved in politics because of the gross margins tax. The session before last, I spent some time down there following that issue, and this last session, I went down there to follow it. And ironically, a lot of Bell County issues came up, and since my family's from Bell County, some of them caught my issue. You know, the hotel motel occupancy tax, the local provider participation fund. Those are some of the issues that came up. And just kind of a main theme is I think that we need more business people writing the laws that affect businesses in the state.
Thank you.
Well, the single biggest issue in most people's minds that watch the news is border security. That's what most people want to talk about. But, you know, with that being said, that being the biggest issue that our state and our nation faces, I think some of the biggest issues facing this district are water, schools, and infrastructure. And, you know, clearly the state's going to have to work diligently after it gets out of the courts. This next legislature is going to have to work on school funding. And one of the things that I'm really concerned about is making sure that we have strong public schools. I really think that we need a champion for public schools in this state. And, you know, in Killeen and Temple, they've done a wonderful job of this technical training in high schools. And you know, with the Central Texas College or Central Texas A&M, you know, the ability for a soldier's son or daughter to be able to get a college education for $17,000, that's pretty amazing. And to me, what's happened in Bell County would be a good template, a good blueprint for the rest of the state. Here's the problem that I think we have when we talk about education, is that I think it's pretty lazy of people in our government to try to say that the same solutions that work in Houston work in Bell County. Well, we know that's not true. I mean, a 10-year-old would know that's not true. They're very different communities. And so what I think we have to do is stop trying to find the magic bullet solution for education statewide. And I think we have to begin to realize that every different community needs to be looked at differently. They have different needs. They have different problems. You know, I mean, one of the main problems with the educational system is the breakdown of the family. And, you know, that's a much different problem in inner city Houston than it is in Lampasas. And so I think that what we need people who are going to say, look, there's not a one-stop shop that's going to fix all the problems. And so we're going to have to look at it on a very local level.
Thank you.
Well, you know, the state doesn't really have a large role in that. You know, I think the educational aspect is a large component of that. But one of the people that I've met with several times is the Heart of the Texas Defense Alliance. And General Taylor and General Cox, they've done wonderful things with trying to link up the community with Fort Hood. And, you know, I think all military matters from the state should go through an organization like that. You know, because, you know, the state, it's all about communication, you know, relationships, business, government, it's all about communication. And I think that the state has to do a better job of communicating with the military. And I think the military has to do a better job of communicating with the state exactly what they need. And so when I see an organization like the Heart of the Texas Defense Alliance, I think that's a wonderful mechanism to help that to facilitate that communication. You know, the county judge here, that's one of the things when I first started campaigning, was I went and talked to him. And Bell County is disproportionately affected.
It's affected our budget.
Yeah, but Bell County is much more disproportionately affected because of that, because of the large retired and disabled military community here. And it's a problem that needs to be addressed. And this kind of goes back to the first question you asked me, but one of the things that I think we need in the state legislature is we need people who are conservatives and they don't just say they're conservatives. And let me give you an example. When the state tells the county or the city that there are certain things that they have to do, they send mandates to them, then they also need to send the money along to do those things. You know, and the term that everybody throws around is unfunded mandates. And it's really easy to say I'm against unfunded mandates. But you know, I like to break it down to where normal people can understand what an unfunded mandate is. It's where the state requires a county or city to do something, and then doesn't follow through with the money to actually take care of what they're saying that they must do. And so I know that when I met with Judge Burroughs, he was really concerned about this 100% reduction for ad valorem taxes. And of course, that's hugely important. I mean, to disabled veterans, that's hugely important. But at the same time, the state, I don't believe it's a very conservative principle to dictate something and then not fund it. And I think that's a principal difference between a conservative and a liberal. Is a conservative says, here's what I need and here's how I'm going to pay for it. And I think a liberal says, here's what I'm going to need and I have no idea how I'm going to pay for it. And so I would argue that it's not a very conservative principle coming out of our conservative legislature to say you must do this, but then not provide the second portion of that is how you're going to pay for it.